reason there previous of, or reason there for proposal, or reason there for proposal, for reason of proposal. This probably will be a reason of a probably divine for a video log. It's probably being a while before another video log. Reasons if probably compared to more of has its Ivanka Trump, also Obama, his personality here. I just want to thank our troops for their fight. It gets stuck on the person. They are usually with the strengths there comes weaknesses. It comes in pair. Rather, whether it's relevant comes in. That's sort of the basis for sort of logic approach. Usually, anyone with elegance are reasonable. That's how stuff goes. Someone really doesn't get it, then they're probably terrorists. Terrorists, they don't have. If a criminal system without senses, they could learn the word ethics or genuineness. It still would have it. Rather would obtain a version to stop manipulating. Although not all criminal systems does have major defects, if I suppose there are a minor percentage, that's quite could be rather amount of, especially how the current, especially if it's from a large number based. Now we should have support of a reason mention of generic language. Currently, words also original for generic, or also generic reason that's also related to original problems. Generic language can be considerable for major problems. This language itself, come on, man. Whoever did it was marvelous, but it's to the level that although it's sort of still comes from a piece of a certain rainbow, or a fellow of a or some similar words of a rainbow, that so does it deserve sort of this criticism. They will probably also accept it, but probably also a bit of at the original, probably also more original, probably also continuous one, probably also at functionality level. It's almost connected. It's almost self-keep as more of a luge, or more becoming luge, original also more becoming luge, original for bubble or more becoming luge, recent or bubble, or also type of or original bubble, also relational status, original bubble also relation, original bubble also bubble also original bubble for original bubble, or also type of or original or bubble also type of. But sort of neglected their own group, didn't develop so much. So without their own group, then the enemies ultimately, or the enemies will be major capable. That's probably how today there comes this equality, also liberalism stuff. The death camps, even if the colleges are directly death camps, or even with a name, or more of death camps, it will still be the same rhetoric. Get your career, follow the road, follow to the death camps. I'm like, these ones are idiots. Of the cases of idiots, they are I-words. Usually probably the cases of I-words, if they are I-words. Why would someone follow those I-words? One of my parents is probably Dyke, sort of a social justice word. That name is rather fitting. It's like, it's sort of a right on word. That's the word to keep for a very long time, or numerous decades, or multiple, for decades. So imagine that, or project that, a nationalist with a Dyke mother, or one parent that is a Dyke. Hideous. It's not just simply ordinary Dyke. If someone asks how that goes, you probably wouldn't answer that. Also, the reason mentioned of, or proper reason of, or proper also considerable for much more common. Reason there of mentions of, or proper reason also, reason for proper, reason of proper, for reason for it. Let me just do my true form. How about that? Let me be less human form. This human form is so lame. It's more of like comparative, certainly of, or proper certainly will be of proper or regional proper or proper also original proper also original proper voice of human form like so stuck. Also drag on a certain word. It should be much faster. You either go speedy, or it has sort of poetic. The stories or proper slur it better. recently a proper comparative or proper considerable brief speed. Lots of persons they sort of does over amount of they have various diction. That's not a problem. The problem comes on these ones that shouldn't be accusing them having addiction. That's who they are. They are supposed to be addicted. Project not sort of a mama utopia land that sort of challenges against the sin Lord, Lord of sin. We need to, it's sort of both singular also. May not be definite sort of singular at once or plural at once, it also maybe a bit more changeable. There probably also could be more description. The Lord of sin enables one. Notice if we offer drugs, they like it, that's preference probably are a form of dwarfness or sort of it's similar probably also like a faithfulness. It's almost a form of respect. Rpobalbe also rpobalbe will be also another rpobalbe, a form of respect. Them addicted to certain stuff. They like it, they worship sin, let them do it. The problem comes from this lack of Hitler. It's not necessarily the lack of abandon of the ones that are sinful or doing these activities. Praise sin. Notice how much if in the cases of the black persons, they usually that brings sort of changes the social setting of it, but that's because how many of these ones, the foul ones they are, or also with porbalbe, they sort of has a different ingredient. It's not so much sort of ethics or ethnic group differences as much as genetic differences or origin of original probalbe also as much of rpobalbe as much of a reserve or probalbe might repeat of or reasonable probalbe by the repetition or rpobalbe as much of a ingredient differences which then sort of with a bit blackness the person would evolve. Notice they don't have this culture that are feminazi. There's no black feminazi, or there's no feminazi at the country named Jamaica. That's what's great about them. They don't have these feminazi. Notice the results. They actually have the equivalents or counterparts of knights, while Europe has no more knights. There's been all these restrictions, these compliance regulations. They are reducive. The man goes shorter. If it doesn't go shorter, its bravery goes lower. Or also lesser proper ones start arriving as population. Also, along with also economic presence at today's age, cash very important. One could say cash not important, but they still have to sort of strive to try to get richer some other ways. While to completely sort of abandon, I'm going to get weaker to fight it, probably not going to, or reasonable proper, or fight it by this way of protesting. But that's sort of, usually no one is almost as stupid, almost no one is as stupid, but it's not supposed to be mentioned over there, because this stuff is almost like a Christian coup. If one takes a check on the historical occurrences on what happened, even if there has been some bit overabundance of the whether of the description of proper designation towards, it went over towards exercise of certain exorcism related stuff. Reasonable also may not be exorcism result of Paul Walker's death through some sacrificial ritual death or purpose sacrificial rituals, then he would that itself may be a bit excessive, but largely it's been working towards rpobalbe, or there's this trail. Usually if somebody a meat tells them 50%, they will understand the rest of it. It's almost like on a stove, it's like giving them a snowball. The stuff can be almost as simple as heck. Notice there's a difference between a person doing stuff, also replaying what he was doing. Suppose fast forward, you will be very different. So how come is that? Because the stuff is almost like, it probably has to be deadly, so it cannot be just one organism, although that's a very great start that usually trumps over the social setting. That's how it's supposed to be stated. Usually B gives a bit of from, or probably gives a bit of
instruction, or proper from, or reasonable proper also from more of instructors' perspective, or also a more similar of pandemium. As a reasonable proper also similar. The probable or investigation at the functionality level, or reasonable proper could be quite different. Reason there for proper considerable, or proper kind of reason for proper or theoretical question, for reasonable proper minor rhetorical. Soon what's going to happen is I'm the key holder. What's going to happen is we're going to invent drones. Then lots of enemies will falter. But they will falter. The stuff, the fictional stuff, are completely right on. So it's not so much we are Goku, or we are both Goku and Frieza. Because just moments ago, me stating about how the knights are going to disappear, they're not going to disappear. Check out how many persons there are. But yet it's going to be different. Wow, I'm not supposed to question. I'm sort of burning my Voldemort hours to speak about something of related or for something, also something, or for reason for something similar of reason of, or for something similar of reservation, or also, or also something similar of reason, or also for reason for or reason of also another reason of, also something of reason of. Reason for proper matter repetition, or reason for also purchase of it, or reason for proper, or for reason for also that, or reason for proper also something similar of reason for some, reason for proper, or reason for proper also another reason for proper also something similar of reason for proper also for reason for proper. The Christian groups are almost hijacking this planet. There's supposed to be one elephant, lots of creatures shipped to the Moses ship. It's because they're Christian versions of these creatures. It's almost like something that creeps on them and covers it up a while. The smart Nazis doesn't notice, and it's not genetics. But yet they are confident that with their plots they can counter against us. But we have to drones a while. They have fragmentation, they're distracted, they go to restaurants, they fool themselves. But that's too giving, isn't it? Then we cannot sort of do some demonic works and label them as terrorists and get rid of them. Even though they're probably previous versions of ourselves. Minus the Christianness, they're probably ourselves. So it's that's what happens. That's what's being happening. It's almost a movement of Christianity. Lots of works. How can it just appear? How can someone just able to do it? By Lucifer's heralds. That's what it is. Meanwhile, be curiously important. Also, so how can this complexity, this lots of stuff, original bubble stuff? Because to unlock the final key, or the ultimate key to crush the Nazis, or probably to designate towards Nazis, it would require someone with the will necessary can. So it's not simply training. So how would that be? We immediately understand it. Is the word will. Notice these are almost our words. Has been passed on. But while those Nazis still, even if they understand there has been some kind of hideousness against them, when these beautiful people are not really done, or they don't have to but just think of it. But directly, impulsively combat, or probable also similar things, real probable, real probable combat towards it. But they're almost too late. They've been conditioned too much. The most vision, what they should be actually doing is hijacking persons and directly threatening. That will actually lower their probable inflictions. While it's almost, in a way, the stuff is being a giant simulation, not by them, by us. But we don't know it because we are Israelis. We don't know what we don't have to know. When we watch a movie, we pick up certain stuff we don't remember later. So what has been happening is we really helped a lot of these Gorms, or a couple of the cases of the Gorms. By the way, that's where, isn't it, the unification theory comes in. It's not so much once to that stage, we still use certain firebombing, and we try to minimize, just stop them with bullets. That's actually very decent. There's going to be opposition, but the conviction stance that's going to be it saves them from so much worse.
so much worse. While they will accept it, it's not going to be sort of frustration. Don't just frustration is like negativity. It's not supposed to be there. And so, also working on how to get rid of frustration, sort of scientific, one could really almost reach to a new shining stage of either way. It's going to be absolute monarch, as persons want it. Notice the persons they get most excited when they're taking drugs. They like taking drugs. That's who they are. They came here with a serial ID, which will happen, but the sun remains as the sun. While these are sort of debris, let them be debris. They also want to be debris. If they don't stay the debris, that's because it's sort of this truth contest. Or if there wasn't a requirement for this sort of truth contest or rpobalbe contest, then they will directly state and they are debris. Go do what you do. Just get rid of them. They want requests for this. A lot of them would. If the one that does it, they're sort of Nazi category. They will be eliminated some other ways. Notice that the persons, when they do stuff, they're sort of, it's almost always religious. Or a lot of religious, they tribute to certain values. For example, when they do speeches, it's like a speech contest, so it's almost persuasion will be drawing inspiration. Persons like to be inspired by who they want to be inspired of. Also, if something occurs, or if someone, for example, me has nuclear bombs, it's because persons wanted it. They wanted it. Also, if the person sort of has this refugee crisis, they want refugees, don't they? Besides sort of intelligence, lots of Western partners, their quality isn't quite there. It's not that they're from the profession, but once we have this unity, it's probably going to be so powerful. Also, a person has been suffered enough, probably receive certain stuff they irritated of to form this propulsion towards the next social order. It's a fitting name, also original probalbe, a name of or probalbe, also fitting name of. There's been a sort of a Christian coup of this entire planet, and then soon with this romance ritual, or probably with romance, it's going to be only Christians almost at the rooting with such a level of advancement. It's almost their world becomes. Then the only remaining group that are non-Christian, a lot of these Nazi or rpobalbe, which call hue'mans. If me doesn't tell them, someone will start sending police state. Suppose it does overcome, likely it's still going to require me, or sort of the other version, or sort of also rpobalbe or different form, or that's also the different version. Persons receive a set of to-do list from their root, or probably from their think hat, or probably from their a different word than hat, or probably from their pauf. May not be as suitable, or from their probalbe. Or reasonable for probalbe from their hat, or reasonable probalbe from their initial source. Sort of probalbe also considerable for a bit abstract. While lots of sort of it's not sought. So if a person gets excited about something, it's not done from lots of the fighting, the ongoing changes from social. It has to do with the changes of priorities of which organ combats the most. The stomach operates more as a baggage. Golems don't know how to be effective fighters because they don't turn off their stomach. Why do they eat these large meats? These are almost happy meals. They're to make them happy, make them ineffective at fighting. Also, the feminazi has been doing it to almost every male. That's how effectively almost. Once we get to the stage where we are capable with drones, who is going to be effective fighter? They already got used to a condition by all these toys, by Santa, the ultimate Satan. Or Santa, that's Satan. Now there might be some unexpected. The person might sort of weep for their opponent. That's how it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be like fiendish, like the Nazis go still giggle or laugh at. And what is that? That's not even living, right? That's rpobalbe. Those aren't living. If someone is smart enough or wants to pretend, they wouldn't even do that. So they're probably both against conscious, also against logic. It's conscious. Well, what is that? Conscious. It's almost like code words. Are you Christian? Do you believe? It's almost like how Muslim goes. Do you believe in God? When they state this, it's like, are you a fraud? Are you going to do the same God stuff? While themselves may not notice them. So they might be a bit also. A lot of the Muslims are a bit sort of Christian, also Muslim. The stuff has to be this way, sort of. If it's clarity, sort of
mostly, and then the words, there's contests and stuff. Also, it's sort of too not matched with other stuff. Reason there for probable also minor interpretation. Reason for probable word without sensitive. Or that's also waiver of the subsequent word probable recent there mentioned. When we mention recent, noticing is sort of something great about it. Probably one of it being it starts with the letter R. It's a special sort of a special letter. It's not a vowel, it's not sort of the basic consonant. It also similar with the rarity. Notice a lot of words that starts with R. It's a bit the scent. What does it smell like? Grape. Not so much pineapple as much. Certainly not an apple. Although apple is not therefore not welcome. Stuff are almost integer based. This relates to the recent mention of it's almost very basic. It's integer changes. But when they are doing it, it comes almost exciting. But once if we let there be more progress, let us do a replay, we'll be like, oh, Christian cooked this entire planet, or much of the regions of them. Lots of the other ones still gets politicals of it, where the public level is mentioned with this historical tale. How persuasion works is almost by digits. Notice when this person's immediately learn alphabet, it's almost mad as well me invented alphabet and give it to them. It's like a Scrabble game. Then the origin for bubble or then gave them also with the education, also so on, then also advanced to the college levels. So it's not sort of just a bit juvenile, original bubble, just those schools of. Then it will become, or bubbles, or original bubble, education. They will become accepted because they probably the serial ID given to them was that you need to accept it. That's how they accept it. So this goes to explain, or probably but derived from original bubble. This probably decorated in the mentions for original bubble that's mentioned. Or reason for bubble, therefore also original bubble also the much of the stuff is sort of predetermined. And how come they're saying from the Spider-Man movie, you can't sort of change how you can't change it. You're supposed to combat Christians. If you're a non-Christian, you're supposed to combat Christians. Christians almost are much more capable of frauds, much more capable, to the level that frauds still think they're not frauds. So frauds still think stuff must be real. It could make us be a machine world where we regard there's biology. Because what's biology? If they already believe it, then they've already submitted to Satan. It's just a matter of time, also a matter of progress. Visual bubble or divine also progress, or visual bubble reach towards certain decades of maybe a bit avoidance of visual bubble or reason for bubble, maybe a bit of avoidance of word era. The last of the creatures that Lucifer accepts will be kept. They are usually Christian versions. Rats itself is most like Muslims, while some fancier rats, some hamsters, more like Christians. Notice the Pokemon list is a list of Christian creatures. They don't have any other evil versions. A lot of the evil are sort of very accepted evil, and then it's not worded this way. They're called with another name. A while there's this talking. Numerous contradictions. If someone can pick it up, they will probably already be Christian. So it's already too late. Can someone change from reverse back? It already occurred. So we'll leave audience to comment or reason for bubble, for reason bubble, then also for reason bubble, original bubble, for original bubble also. That's how the previous decades has been. Even the war to Hitler probable, supposedly that's sort of understood, and one could probe onto or probably investigate towards numerous of the historical events from Hitler, from Mussolini. Then there has to do with some purposes, otherwise it's all not wrong almost. Well, if they're non-Christian, then, or if they're Christian, then they would state it's not wrong because they would live in luxury, they will have lots of fun, they will continue to do sort of God's work, or they will continue to develop, do stuff. Well, the non-Christians gets left out. With a huge accusation, they didn't do this right. Perfectly reasonable, but because all the Christians remember stuff wrong. They even forgot themselves they are Christians. or they're sort of Luciferian and Christian. The stuff has been set to such a dangerous road so that someone probably goes through this. So lots of this complexness, even the historical stuff, even this immigration sort of led me to come to here. There isn't the whole stuff being said, but there has to be sort of also kind of proof. But it doesn't. This stuff isn't that sort of it's going to be major car slam type of stuff, or a bit negotiation level of stuff. So that is almost a game. Then that there could be all these counters. It sort of doesn't count as counter. It's just science. It's like, oh, and the person reacts, so it has to be affected. A lot are not fully Christians, while usually when they marry with someone that are Christian, they're going to have a Christian child. So this being occurs more than the opposite. Just since recently it has been a bit more opposite. Then it becomes so as if it's completely being opposite. If we check the historical context, it has always been that. There has also been a lot of these tags. If persons check on search engines, they will never find it. But it's almost right there. Even the word, some of the nicknames someone generates, it's not there for some reason. So those stuff, it's sort of like one organism. Would there be mass? Would there be a lot of deaths or major issues? And the functionality, no. But in order to save that, it needs to be opposite. This trial murder stuff has almost, at least it devoted a bit. Most of the cases, they devoted a lot to Lucifer, so they will be spared from the coming doom, because they will be so easily taken out with just a drone strike. It doesn't cause any cash. There are Google cars everywhere, so there will be drones everywhere. Sort of drones, they are also sort of just toys, or metallic insects walking around. By the way, insects sort of didn't diminish. We are insects. Was sugar packages. Our thoughts, our behaviors, suppose in order for a certain sort of our skin and stomach, it will be much more like insects, so while less elegant. So it will be more deadly, but insects probably has much more better performance also. It's structurally better. They don't have legs mixed down. This in particular how Nazis has been a particular issue, because they're sort of not lethal criminals. They're sort of unorthodox because they're dumb. They're dumb yet intelligent with dumb factor, and then they become a bit unorthodox. Like a bunch of mammals with a hoof stomping on the ground. Reduces their wittiness, reduces their knowledge of the histories there has been before. It's not so much there has been sort of bacterial revolution, or it's because of genetic, but we are sort of transcendent. We're the leftovers of a previous clash of these computers that fight each other. The results became these mammals and so on. That's how you get the variations. Recently, the public consumer will be more brief of it. Also, further investigation towards it. That's probably after we first counter towards the Nazis, because there are so many of them. It's like if we have 250,000 drones, that's not enough. They're going to have, even at this, which go back America region, if there are more than 250 million of them, each of them with a vehicle, how are they going to stop that? We probably need 150 million drones. It's not going to be impossible to build it. They're fragmented. It's also on our drugs, but it's not so. Therefore, let's relax. Let's turn on the television and check out Kanye. Not Kanye West. rpobalbe also other reactions, but somewhat different. Charlie Sheen, 2.5 Men. Man, that's not going to be good. The Nazis will probably. If persons likes to be persuaded, and they probably also like to be inspired, or then there's someone they respect sort of form of ambition. Because someone that respects you when they do something, it's not going to be there for, oh, I no longer respect you, but it's going to be acted as from respect. Respect probably almost like a Christian word. It's almost like a subset sugar, or on the side that you later use. Also amongst other stuff. Each person comes with a sort of a ID, or each of a serial ID. How do they, if someone with a sort of different serial ID, they immediately identify, starts getting attracted to. Donald Trump sort of has a different social ID. That social, or that serial ID, that social serial ID, probably some serial IDs,
or probable that's zero ID, or probable the usual switch ID, or usual probable the usual zero ID. Usual probable also of the not or probable original probable. Original probable. The serial ID comes from after puberty. The puberty almost is something grows on them. It's almost considered as a tumor, but the tumor that are integrated, so it's not going to be a tumor. Also, we might be tumors. It's a matter of sort of designation towards the next completion of task. It's not almost every designation are to designate. Therefore, you're going to do something about it. If the person doesn't do something, that's because probably then someone else would do something about it, or it's near. They probably but that's always the case. As with the orientation, they might not complete the task, but usually they does complete the task, or not completing the task are the completions. Original probable also considered both completion. Original probable after or probable also completion of original probable. Those are the completion of tasks. It could be quite surreal how someone will be Luciferian representative or chancellor of Lucifer, or sort of the Christian warrior, or probably the Christian representative. But the surrealness probably it's sort of within bound of also considered, or sort of it's also with another sort of reprobabe also absorbed, original proper or prepared. This language itself has some. It's not. The Gorhams doesn't know it. Once they know it, they wouldn't even speak it. They wouldn't speak English anymore, because this language has so much of these occult stuff. It's right there. It's right there. So notice the person that sort of know it, or probably generally, or has noticed something similar, or probably does not fully, or probably not fully, or probably reasonable, or probably not as fully, reasonable, or not, also, or reasonable, or not as fully know it of. They probably speak English differently. As almost there's the makers of something, also the purchaser, would be different. Public, at public realms, this doesn't need to be known. Lots of the regional or it doesn't need to be at public realm of comparative public matter of regional or literalization of original or literalization. The maker usually doesn't like it as much as the purchaser, especially someone who is completely or majorly not a maker. So that's how particular a lot of shoppers, they get addicted to shopping because they think they're getting treasures, but it's almost junks. Like how programmer, he doesn't use applications as much or plays video games as much. He knows it's not as pretty, while he has a different memory allocation. The set comes different. Should it be changed? It could be probably changed to a marginal or probably a larger manner, while it shouldn't be so much different. Nuclear bombs, just a fire blast. That's very large. Someone who has the will, he tells reprobabe or he informs who to, when do they should use it. Now, it's not going to be, hey buddy, use it now, or recommend to use it. It's probably not going to be the speech. If it's going to be surprising, it's also probably going to be different. After surprising down, then it's probably not so much it's going to be surprising. Or reprobabe also is surprising. Or reprobabe or as much as there has been nuclear bomb, it's not therefore they are the person that currently holds it some sort of diablo. They're not. They're quite human form. They're also not so Wolverine. Suppose there was another Wolverine. That saves me a huge amount of energy. I've been working every single hour for this. Being Lucifer sort of has the sin heart. Probably it consumes the person. It consumes my mother. Me start to consider she is Lucifer, meanwhile I'm Prince Charming. She is probably the primal Lucifer, or also inherits a lot of Luciferianness towards me.
the stuff are not going to be mentioned this way. That's because she's Lucifer. She's been so important until the stuff happens. It's not going to be discussed. But she is Lucifer. If person tapes the video, tapes it back, check out her moves, that's also going to be certain hints. But also, could be a bit of hints, or probably not so much of, or not so much of the expected hint. Rpobalbe not so much hint of Rpobalbe also will be expected for original Rpobalbe, not so much hints of, but where does these thoughts or also moves come from? Are those her decisions? Lots of women, by the way, are Luciferian. They've been telling these Goran males, "You're so great." During World War II, "Come back safe, honey." It's like off you die. The females, they tell stuff very differently because genetically they're a bit different. That may be a large factor, because they don't have the XY chromosome. They're the XX chromosome, while they're striped because the other X forms differently. It's almost 2% in one. That may create certain differences. So if there's that different, then what else difference could there be? This stuff is not going to be explained to the Gorams, because they're going to be sort of employees. They will still be employees with so little. Well, they'll be citizens with so little cash. What can they do later on? A matter of allowing others to decide for them. We have entered the age, sort of this with false civicness. There are vast Germany, there's false civic criminals at the vast Germany, original Papa at modernity regions of original for Papa also this on original Papa also enough. Original for Papa also that's on original for Papa or original Papa also that's on for original Papa. That's not an email coming in. That's talking too much in human form. Human form speeches generates a lot of dissonance. Even the alphabets is sort of a bit dissonant because those are stoccos. Those are notes are stoccos one. Notice when it's usually with words, it's not so much a joyous moment. Sort of on a downtone, it's like a downhill or a bit of downward as opposed to there. It may not be so much of, or is the bubble may not be so much of excitement moments of, because it's sort of a bit of punishing notes. Maybe also some of condemn. That's probably the best positive version of it, or some for most similar of enthusiasm version of it. The Gorams speak in such a way it designates or it generates a dissonance. So while they keep spasming it, it's almost they no longer become properly functional. A lot of the Gorams aren't properly functional. They're maniacs. Doesn't thank for their Walmart apparel, then just accuse others what it is. While a hyper amount of them rarely speak to their identical cancers, regional people speak to their identical people also identical enough. Original for people, or then also for original people, for original people, also where the for regional people, or they're identical. So original people really speaks towards original people towards their identical original people, or original people, or original. Or Papa after original Papa, or for original Papa, or towards their identical stuff. Hitler, he asked someone what's his height. They might think about it, but they really know it faster, or they take pauses like, should I really tell it? That's how sort of the stuff are. There's lots of persons, they're a member of this team, so they're not going to be they're not going to be as fast as they want to. They're going to be restrict themselves. Right? And also, they should be. If they don't restrict them, then what's going to happen? They get eliminated. Self-perseverance under God gets eliminated. Or original people, or by righteous party, or by any government. Sort of they will be much reduced if they get too vicious. And it might be even accidental deaths. Or original pop a bit of more accidental eliminations. A person's worship towards Lucifer, how Lucifer, the characters are, has been sort of imprinted. They might be blurred, but it's almost the blurs of sort of certain coordinations. It might not be exactly so much, or each pop or may not be so much coordinations of, but still quite of a. It's been there for original pop, it's quite there present. Original pop is quite others of original probable out there, then also for each probable, then for each probable, or for each probable, or others of original probable, or original probable is quite there. Original probable is quite out there. So. Original for probable also, that's it for this video, or probable. Original for probable, that's it for original probable also, video instance of original probable. That's it for this video, or probable also video instance.